Texas tatted on my arm, got Houston on my back, cause I love the city I'm from. Hands up if you feel that. I ball hard like a Texan every Sunday.
Texans Central Radio, hosted by Jay Anderson.
And the kick like Jake do. Better come prepared when we play you. We came to win, can't take a lot.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Jay Anderson here for another edition of Texans Central Radio. Today we have special guest Randy Harvey of the Houston Chronicle joining us today, followed by some things that we kind of could follow up from last week. The Miami-Houston game, where we learned that sometimes you shouldn't pick up things and hit people, and also that DJ Swearinger is quite the beast on the field. Also, we take a look at Arian Foster. He's so philosophical in everything that he does, from poetry to giving his kids cool names and doing shoots for GQ. He's definitely redefining what we see in today's athletes, especially in the gridiron. Also, we take a look at legal hits and knee injuries as told by Brian Cushing himself, and we'll take a look at what's to look ahead on Sunday when Who Dat Nation comes to Houston. Will we be knocking them out the fence and seeing Drew Brees back on his side of the state line? Or will the Texans be able to step back and take a lesson and see what it's like to handle things under pressure when playing the starters in the first half? But to kick off our show, we're going to start with Mr. Randy Harvey himself. So can we give a warm welcome to my special guest, Mr. Randy Harvey.
Thanks so much.
Hi, Randy. Hi, Randy. How are you?
Hey, yay, great. Great being with you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. So, Randy, just to give you a little background about you, you've been writing sports and covering some of the most prolific events in sports history, from 12 Super Bowls to 15 Summer and Winter Games. You've covered 4 World Cups. I mean, what haven't you covered when it comes to sports? I mean, oh my gosh.
You're just telling them how old I am. Let's see. What haven't I covered? I haven't covered any cricket.
And there you have it, America. You've covered everything but cricket. The one thing we probably don't get in America.
Sorry?
That's awesome. So, and I got a chance to read up on some of the things that you've done since you've been in Houston. Because, of course, as we know, as most people may not know, but to inform you, you are a native of Texas.
Yeah, grew up in East Texas, near Tyler, near the Tyler Rose, Earl Campbell. In fact, I was the first one to cover any games with Earl Campbell because he was an 8th grader at Moore Junior High in Tyler, and I was covering junior high sports for the Tyler Morning Telegraph.
So you're a living legend right about now. That's kind of what we always do.
Well, I'm glad I'm still living. I'm living. Yeah.
If we can go back to Earl Campbell days and you covered him in junior high and you used to say that you're still around, and I saw the picture, I saw your profile picture, you're still looking good, that means you're quite the living legend. So, in covering what we've seen so far for the preseason with the Texans, what's your take on where the Texans are right now and where they're headed?
You know, really hard to say. 2 preseason games, we haven't seen many of the starters. Obviously, the starting units haven't been under any pressure whatsoever. Third game is usually where you begin to get some idea of how the team is shaping up. And so I think we're all really looking forward to this Sunday's game against New Orleans. And
I got a chance to read a couple columns that you've written over the past couple of days, this week especially, and got a chance to read your take on Matt Schaub and the whole QB shakeup. Now, we have Matt Schaub starting, as it looks right now, for what I've been told, that Coach Kubiak has confirmed that T.J. Yates will be second off the bench, and then we have Case Keenum, obviously the hometown favorite. What's your take on Houston having so much depth at QB for a change?
Well, you know, it's hard to say. I mean, I think those guys are both good. I don't know. You know, if Schaub went down, I'm not sure those guys are going to be the guys that take them to the promised land. But I think they can get them through games, and they can win games with them. Whether they can, I mean, I don't know. There's. I mean, you don't know if they can get to the Super Bowl with Schaub, much less without him. So I think those guys are good depth as the NFL goes. But you know, I wouldn't look at either one of them and say, you know, they're pressing Schaub for a starting job.
Okay, good deal. And fair enough to say. I was reading earlier this week a piece on SI, and the quote that I got from them, which I thought was very interesting, and just going back to Matt Schaub and saying the fact that we don't know if we can even get to the Super Bowl with Matt Schaub, and we only went so far without him when TJ Yates did step up. But the quote was, Schaub doesn't necessarily lose big games. He just lacks the dynamic tools to win them. Do you agree with this?
I think that this year is going to be a really crucial year. I mean, the guy's been injured a lot. People talk about him not being a clutch performer. He really hasn't been in that many clutch situations. The first 4 years he's with the team, they weren't very good. They weren't in position to play real clutch games. Then he came back and got injured. Last year, I think that's perfectly fair to say that he was not a clutch performer down the stretch last year. But then I think you can say that of probably a dozen other players too. So I don't think it was all on him. But I think this year really is. I mean, 32. If he doesn't do it, this is the time.
Okay. Now, taking the pause from the offense that we have in Matt Schaub and taking a look at the Texans defense, last week against Miami, we got a chance to see DJ Swearinger go out and actually be the heavy hitter that Houston wants him to be. And then we also saw on the opposite end of that, we saw the feud against Antonio Smith and Incognito again, and now we have two players who have two totally different situations going on, but it definitely shows the dynamic of where the defense has stepped up, because Houston had been known to have a defense that in the secondary that no one was afraid of or scared of. But now we actually have players who are out there playing with aggression in a sense, not here's a debate whether it was illegal or legal or dirty or not, but there is that toughness that we have seen demonstrated so far. How do you feel about seeing that for the Texans?
No, it's interesting. Swearinger's I think got a lot of potential. He's also got a lot to learn. We saw the opening preseason game, and he bounces off. He tries to hit Zach Line from Minnesota in the shoulder pad, targeting him that area where they like to target. And he kind of bounced off of him, and Zach Line went for 61 yards. So the next week he had kind of a bad angle on Keller, and he hit him low. And of course, it was really unfortunate circumstances. But I think Swearinger is kind of in a position where he doesn't know. He's sort of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He knows he can't hit high, and he kind of has to hit low, but maybe not that low. So, I think he's still on a learning process. It'll be very interesting to see how what happened last week affects his aggression. And I know they'd like to use his athleticism a little bit more to get in position where, maybe he doesn't have to target so low in order to bring somebody down. And then Antonio Smith, is one of the leaders of the team. That was to be indelicate, that was just dumb. And for him to do that, and he should know, he knows better, he's smarter than that. He lost his temper, okay, but he did it last year and got fined against Incognito, so he knew Incognito was going to be baiting him, and he just fell right into the trap. So he's got to be smarter than that going forward.
And I totally agree. I definitely do not see any reason for him to swing the helmet as we witnessed last week.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a lot, especially against a team like Miami, who, what threat did they really pose to the Texans? So what are some things that you would like to see from the Texans going into this Sunday's game, other than the fact that we will get a chance to see the starters pretty much for the first half, because as Sean Payton has said, his starters will be playing pretty much the entire first half of this game. Right.
Well, I'm really interested to see how Schaub does. He didn't finish strong. He started great. He had a really good against New Orleans last year. Both he and Drew Brees had a great game in the third preseason game. Schaub that carried that momentum into the season, was really good, and then at the end, wasn't so good. So which Schaub are we going to see? Are we going to see that Schaub that we saw early last season, or are we going to see the one that we saw late last season? The backup receivers, Hopkins isn't playing this game because of the concussion, So now we're obviously we know that they're solid with Andre Johnson on one side, but who steps up without Hopkins in there on the other side? Is it I mean, just which one? It's going to be Keyshawn, it's going to be Stargene.
Right, but
is there an opening there for Posey? Yeah, is there an opening there for Posey? Who's going to be that third guy? So I'm interested in that. I'm interested to see if the right side of the offensive line is any better. They haven't been good. They weren't good last year. They haven't been good so far. Yeah.
Exactly.
Go ahead, sorry.
I agree. I definitely agree about the right side with that front five. It's going to definitely be interesting to see who is going to step up, especially with the injuries. And I think Wade Smith should be back this week. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this weekend because kind of gives that picture that we really want to see for how good these starters are going to be, how good are the new guys going to be, and how everyone is going to mold this together.
Right.
So let me ask
you another. Yeah, go ahead. One other factor I need to point out. So when we go on is the kicking game. And they're putting a lot of stock in Randy Bullock, and that's going to be really important this year to see, is he that guy that they thought they drafted out of Texas A&M in the 5th round? Is he going to be able to hit those long field goals?
That's going to be very interesting, especially for a team like the Texans when we had a kicker a few years ago who could kick 50-plus yards at any given time that could help the Texans win or lose a game. So it definitely will be interesting to see if we can have somebody follow in the footsteps of Chris Brown, whom
right.
I know many of us in Houston missed. When he left, as a fan, I was sad. So definitely to see if who we can have following his footsteps and kick that ball down the field because we definitely need those extra points at any given time. So I definitely love. Thank you so much for joining me today and being my guest today. And
my pleasure.
No problem. Can you tell the fans how to find you on Twitter?
At Randy Harvey. Real easy.
And you are a feature columnist for the Houston Chronicle. So how many times are you ran in the Chronicle so we know when to look for you and read up?
I'm there at least 3 days a week in the newspaper, and I do blogs for whatever subject, whether it's Ultimate Astros, Ultimate Rockets, the Ultimate Texans, a lot of college football. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Football fans, check out the official T-shirt apparel shop for the Pro Football Central Radio Network. Check out BigFrog.com/Cincinnati. That's BigFrog.com/Cincinnati. You think it, we ink it. They have an awesome 24-hour turnaround time. You can also visit them at their fabulous store over at Anderson Town Center, 7426 Beachmont Avenue, Cincinnati, Ohio 45255. That's BigFrog.com/Cincinnati.
All right, fans, and we're back. We just wrapped up with Randy Harvey of the Houston Chronicle, who gave us his breakdown on everything from QB Matt Schaub to where the Texans may end up and the things he'd like to see on Sunday. Now, speaking of players getting back on the field on Sunday, Arian Foster, as we know, did return to the team on the pup list this past Wednesday. Caught a little flag during his presser this week. However, he will not be on the field this Sunday. So, for anybody looking to see the return of Arian, it won't be this week. However, he has said that he will be ready by week 1 on September 9th. Now, speaking of Arian and keeping on the whole Arian Foster front, I got a chance to read the GQ article, as most of us did, and saw what they call the top 10 things that we like about Arian Foster, which included everything from naming his second child Cairo, and I hope I pronounced it correctly, to his sense of fashion, which ranges from everything from Marshall to Louis Vuitton. And, of course, me, I can honestly say, I agree. I like Arian Foster's style. It's very quirky. It's very him. It's just like him. It's like a haiku that you throw out the window and you just want to see what happens. Also, I think that Arian Foster, like most of us, doesn't like to be overanalyzed and doesn't like to have questions that are asked him that obtain such overanalysis. And during a question and Q&A with a couple of members of the media during this week, he did take a lot of flack for giving a very vague answer. However, I agree with him. Just ask me a straight question, direct question, and then you'll get a direct answer. There's no such thing as a stupid question. However, there are things that will make you give a stupid answer. With that being said, I look forward to seeing Arian back on the field on Monday night, September 9th. Now, speaking on what happened during the Antonio Smith incognito feud, we all were taught a long time ago to keep our hands to ourselves. Unfortunately, Antonio Smith was absent that day. And with that leads to him being suspended, and the NFL will uphold the suspension. His appeal was denied today, as reported by the team earlier today, that he will not be in the final preseason game, and he will also be suspended for the first game against the Chargers on September 9th. But we have things to look forward to in this game. We have not only will we see more of the starters playing in the first half against the Saints this Sunday, which Sean Payton definitely has assured the rest of the world that his starters will be on the field and they will be going full throttle. So we as fans have a lot to look forward to. So if you do have tickets to Sunday's game, I suggest that you get to Reliance Stadium early, as well as know that Underbelly Houston will be at Reliance Stadium this weekend, and there will be free barbecue there. So I suggest you get there early, have your plate ready, because I know as a fan, if I'm at Reliance Stadium and I'm hungry, I'm definitely eating as much barbecue as possible again. So with that being said, we have so many things to cover about what's coming up for the Texans. I got a chance to sit back and read a couple of different things and a couple of different takes of the opinions of the national media of the Houston Texans. So many times we complain that we don't see the Texans on a national stage. And when we do see them on a national stage at times, we do often complain about what the national media has to say about the Texans. But right now, I'm not complaining. I got a chance to see the read-up on Monday Morning QB, and I think Peter King and the SI team definitely got it right. We're giving a breakdown on where they see the Texans going on each position, from Andre Johnson to Arian Foster and his return, and also to Ryan Cushing. But one of the things that I found really heartfelt in reading up and getting a breakdown on where the Texans are going for this season was I got a history about Owen Daniels. And Owen Daniels has been with the team for so long, and he's sort of like the silent hero. He's actually the number 2 best receiver for the Texans behind Andre Johnson, who we all know. Andre Johnson is a future Hall of Famer. We don't have to worry about that. But Owen Daniels has so many accolades that go unnoticed. With Owen Daniels, I didn't even know that he had just gotten married. So congratulations to him and his attorney wife. And also, I didn't know that he was such a fashionista. And he had his groom's cake was actually ice and Nutella and in the shape of an Air Jordan. You learn something new every day. And the fact that the rapport that Owen Daniels and that shop has definitely contributed to the fact that when they're on the field together, that there's definitely a chemistry there that's not there with other receivers in that shop, which we definitely have to look at their chemistry off the field and then look at their chemistry on the field and understand how those two things connect. If those two are able to communicate off the field, whether it be in the locker room, whether it be hanging out, then there's definitely going to be a natural connection with them on the field. Hopefully, in looking at that natural connection that Owen Daniels and Matt Schaub have together as a wide receiver and quarterback, Matt Schaub can get that same level of comfort with DeAndre Hopkins and also expand on that level of comfort with Andre Johnson. Of course, we know that Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson have a chemistry there because they wouldn't be where they are now. But when you look at the level of comfort that Matt Schaub has with an Owen Daniels, you can only imagine if the level of comfort were expanded with Andre Johnson, how much further they can be. As I've said many times, over and over and over and over, it's all in the details for the Houston Texans. So if they can pay attention to those things, whether it be chemistry, whether it be fundamentals, whether it be technique, the details are what count for the Houston Texans this season. I look forward to seeing the Texans on the field this Sunday, especially our starters against Drew Brees. And many people who know me know that I'm a Louisiana native. And if my father ever found out that I was not cheering for the Saints this Sunday, I would probably be disowned and written out of his will. We're going to keep it a secret. If you can keep it a secret, I can keep it a secret. And with that being said, let's move into my 2-point conversion. That way we can wrap this thing on up and get you guys ready for Sunday.
Football fans, looking to get healthy this year? Now is the time, and I have the perfect place for you. Save 10% at onit.com/football radio. Exclusive PFC radio listeners save 10% off their order. That's onit.com, ONNIT.com/football radio.
This is Michael Johnson. This is David Nelson. This is Rob McClain. This is Antonio Ray.
This is Antonio Brown.
Hi, this is Kyle Rudolph.
On the Pro Football Central Radio Network.
We're here.
And we're back. And it's time to wrap things up with the 2-point conversion. For this 2-point conversion, I definitely want to go back and focus on who are the Texans and who are the Saints. It's been said that this year's Saints coming in with having Sean Payton back is very reminiscent of the Saints in their Super Bowl year. Of course, as we know, with Sean Payton leading the Saints now, they're definitely not going to be the Saints that we saw last year, who really had no leadership from above. This year's Saints, the defense, we can also expect to be a lot faster than they were last year and a lot more mobile. They don't have as many. They definitely added a lot of youth to the Saints defense as well as a lot of speed. On the offensive side, of course, we all know Drew Brees is going to come in as Mr. Gunslinger himself, and he actually has targets to throw to this season. Now, what that means for this year's Texans is we have to remember that we are the Houston Texans. Just because this is Drew Brees and just because the Saints are being hyped up to be the Saints that they once were doesn't mean a thing. And just because this is preseason and it doesn't count, this is definitely a test that the Saints will be using to get them ready for their game on September 8th against the Atlanta Falcons. So the Texans have to come out and be strong. They have to be efficient. They have to be alert, and they have to be aware of everything that's going around them, especially on the defensive side, and understanding that Drew Brees is coming to light them up. If they're not ready, then this game will not be pretty for us, whether it counts or it doesn't. On the offensive side, what we need to understand is that with it being said that the Saints' defense is a little bit faster this year, is we have to be ready for everything that comes our way. That means that no matter if it's Matt Schaub in the first half or T.J. Yates or Case Keenum in the second half, all eyes have to be forward and open. We have to look at everything that's coming our way. That's be for the Saints safety, the Saints D-back, to the Saints defensive backs, as well as the Saints linebackers. We're going to be coming out for blood because this game is a game where a lot of players have to prove their worth. There will not be a lot of the same players that we'll see in next week's final preseason game or on the season opener for either team. So this is going to be a game where both sides of the ball and both teams are going to be proving themselves, whether it be starters who are on their last legs or it's going to be new guys coming in looking for their spot. So with that being said, on Sunday, be on the lookout for the Saints defense coming hard at us. Be on the lookout for the Houston Texans starters putting up, and some of them may be shutting up. However, I definitely think that this will be a great game. I would love to see a 34-26 win for the Texans, and that's just what I'm going to call it. And I hope that you guys will tune in next week as we do this all again, and we get ready for September 9th. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. You can always follow me along on Twitter at TexansCentralPS, as well as at my personal account at TheRealist007. If you have any questions, comments, critiques, shoot them my way. I'm definitely open because I'm here for you, the fans. Thanks, and have a great evening.
This has been a presentation of the Pro Football Central Network. For news, blogs, highlights, and more, log on to ProFootballCentral.com.